So, snow foam is for cleaning, right? Well, not always. This Mile Deep Shield is one of an increasing number of ceramic snow foams that are now on the market that claim to add a layer of protection after you've washed your car. So yeah, it intrigued me. Are you intrigued? Well, let's find out more. Hello and welcome back to the Golf Diaries. My name's Mark, and if you're new around here, this is where you'll find loads of info on detailing, DWs and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, hopefully it's of interest. A few months ago now, I decided to try this Mile Deep Shield. It was a new type of product to me. I was intrigued. I wanted to find out more. I wanted to find out how hydrophobic it was, how long it would last, what kind of finish it would leave on the car. And this video is the result after 3 and a bit months. So I'm about to show you how Mile Deep Shield applies to a vehicle, in this case the high mileage Audi TT, and then I'm going to go on to discuss how it's lasted, what I found with the product, etc. after a few months of real world testing. And that's the way I want to do tests going forward. I'm not particularly keen on just putting a product on a panel and then going over it with an APC or something like that to kind of simulate wear and durability. I'd much rather do it in the real world, and hopefully that brings a little bit more value to you. So first up, and briefly, what is Mile Deep Shield? Well, it's a ceramic snow foam that you apply at the end of the wash process and then simply rinse off immediately afterwards. Price-wise, it's £19.50 for a bottle this size, or £101 for a 5-litre container of it, which I would argue is probably more for trade people than for weekend warriors. Yeah, £19.50 for this is not bad. We'll go into that in more detail a little bit later in the video. In terms of how much you use, well, you basically put this into a foam lance at a 1:4 ratio, so 1 part product, 4 parts water. And you'll see from the application video that actually that mixture does do a whole car, and potentially you could get away with doing a second car, depending on the size of the car, obviously. But yeah, that little bit does go quite a long way. So as you can see, if this lasts, as it's claimed to last, up to 6 months, then actually this bottle here is going to last you a very long time. So with that all said, let's see it in action. As you can see here, it does apply like a snow foam. I don't know why that should surprise me, but the first time I used it, I was expecting it to perhaps be a little bit runnier, a little bit weaker looking, but it does actually look like a decent quality snow foam. In terms of the smell, it's very inoffensive. Regulars to the channel will know I'm really bad at describing smells, but actually it doesn't smell too bad at all. It's got a nice little slightly sweet scent to it, but not too overpowering by any means. Now obviously with this kind of product, the key is to make sure that you get a nice even coverage, don't miss any bits out. Sure, it does run down the panel, it will get coverage into all the nooks and crannies, which is great, that's a bonus as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, it's definitely worthwhile making sure that you spend a little bit of time getting all the areas of the car covered. On to rinsing. You do this pretty much straight away. Certainly don't apply this in hot weather would be my advice, and it does say that on the bottle actually, because I would imagine it would flash off quite quickly, potentially would leave some streaks on the paintwork. So definitely don't leave it on the paintwork too long. Now on this particular day, this was being filmed on my iPhone. I should have said that at the start, because it was raining on and off. It was quite damp. I didn't want to get the cameras out for that reason, so hence the iPhone. But it came off incredibly easily without any streaking or any, not quite sure what the word is, any kind of dawdling about. It didn't seem to pool up. It just ran off the paintwork really, really easily with the pressure washer. And I know you love your water behaviour shots, so here's a quick shot immediately after removing on the bonnet of the TT. Easy, eh? I don't really know how you could make it much easier. Now that was applied today on the same car that I applied it on a few months ago, just to really show you how easy it was to apply, but also to use it as a base layer for the winter protection. We're now just at the end of October, so obviously you need to start thinking about the winter ahead. So I think this is going to make a really nice base layer, and there's lots more products coming to the channel that I'm going to kind of layer on top and test out for you. So, but as a base layer, I think this is going to do a good job, and I'll tell you why in a second. But before I go into any any more detail, and before I show you the shots of the water behaviour at the end of its test period, I think it's worth giving you a little bit of context as to how this car is used, because how I use the car may be different from how you use a car, and vice versa. So a little bit more context perhaps will be useful for you. So the car is my wife's daily driver, and she does a lot of mileage for both work and also for personal use as well. So it's currently doing about 3,000 miles per month. So during the course of this test of Mild Deep Shield, it's actually amassed like 10.5, just a little over 10,500 miles. So certainly it's been out there and being worked. Now that's on a mixture of motorways, country roads. We live in the middle of nowhere, so lots of country roads, lots of farmers at this time of year, mud on the road, etc. So lots of contaminants getting thrown up on it on those country roads. Obviously lots of the normal motorway mileage crud that kind of accumulates over time, over the miles. In terms of washing, I've been washing it with a pH neutral shampoo, in this case the Mild Deep one, the Cleanse, and I don't tend to use a QD as a drying aid, because I don't want to put any sacrificial layers on top of it, which is then going to skew the results of this test. I want to keep it as real world as possible. I would imagine if you used a QD after every wash, if you washed it once a week, this is going to last a lot longer, because obviously you've always got that sacrificial layer on top. Now, as regulars to the channel will know, I've used the TT for testing various products on. It's a great colour really for YouTube to show products on, so you'll probably sitting there thinking, but hang on, you've put all these other products on it. Yeah, I have on some of the panels, but on the roof, which is what I'll be showing you next, I have left it completely bare of any other product. No QDs for drying, no other drying aids, just purely Mild Deep Shield doing its job. So after 10,500 miles in all kinds of conditions, this is the water behaviour before I reapplied. Now this was taken after a rain shower, so at this point it had still got a little bit of dirt and a little bit of dust on the panel as well, which of course is going to affect the beading and the hydrophobics. But it just gives you an idea. Again, real world. This is not a show car. It's not a garage queen. It's a real world, stored outside, use every day kind of car. So I want to show it in its natural habitat. So as you can see, after just over 10,500 miles, after 3.5, almost 4 months, it's on its way out, but it's still there. And as I said, a little bit of that water behaviour, of course, is going to be affected by surface dirt and dust and so on. So, we need to bear that in mind. This is not a laboratory, so I can't stress that enough. So yeah, I think that's pretty good performance. I think 3.5 to 4 months, 10,500 miles, and it's still there. Albeit, as I said, on its way out. Now, as I said earlier, if you were to use a QD as a drying aid, or you were to put any other product on top of it, because if you're watching a channel like this, you obviously love cleaning your car, so why wouldn't you? Then of course that would last longer. It would prolong the length of the durability, I should say, of the product. So I have to say, when Mild Deep claims 6 months, I don't think that's far off. But because winter's approaching, because busy person trying to fit things in around work, etc., I had to reapply. I had to get something back on there, so I couldn't wait for 6 months. I really just had to do it now. So yeah, but hopefully you can see that's pretty impressive. I think it is. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Durability aside, what else have I discovered whilst using Mild Deep Shield? Well, first of all, it's slick. It leaves a really nice slick finish to the paintwork. I know that's not particularly important to some people, but I quite like it. And yeah, that did impress me. It leaves a very slick finish. It's very dust resistant, or dust repellent is probably the better word. Now, of course, when I first applied this, we were going through a bit of an Indian summer. Even in Wales, it doesn't rain every week. Shock. But yeah, I'm sure we're going to make up for lost time now. We've got to winter though. But so yeah, and we're surrounded by trees. So we have a lot of pollen issues, and because we've got gravel driveway and so on, and so on, it gets quite dusty. So you get lots of pollen, lots of dust. And whilst it was late in the summer when I applied this, not in the height of summer, there was still a lot of dust and pollen around. It just blew off. I mean, it really didn't stick around, which it can do. Certainly pollen can do, as we all know. It's hydrophobic. Hopefully that comes across on the aftershots. It is very hydrophobic. It sheets. It's an okay beader. If beads are your thing, you will get some satisfaction out of this product, because it does leave some nice beads. But for me, certainly during the winter, sheeting is far more important. I don't want the dirty water, the salty water sitting around on the paintwork looking pretty. I want it gone. So sheeting is really, really important, and this product does it really, really well. I'm just looking down at my notes to make sure I don't forget anything. A couple of things actually that I did forget, despite looking at my notes. You know, you'd think reading notes I'd kind of be able to remember everything, but no, clearly not. So a couple of things I should add actually. First of all, it does make the paint pop a little bit. It really, I mean, I mentioned it being slick, but it does really add a little element of gloss. There's no two ways about it. And certainly on the TT with its nice kind of carbon grey metallic paint, it really does, when the sun hits it, lovely. And if you top this with Mild Deep Flare, and I'll put a review for that video down below, then wow, you know, it really does absolutely pop in a big way. And I think the final thing I want to say is it's cost effective. Now, as I said, this is £19.50. Now, £19.50 for a 500ml bottle sounds expensive, but then when you realise that actually each application you probably only use about that much. And if you're getting between 4 and 6 months of durability out of that, then, you know, that's quite a few out of that. So actually, I think cost effective wise, I think it's very hard to argue against this product. Certainly when you compare it to other equally easy protectants that you can put on it, things like, you know, the wet coat, and mine went blank then, Geon wet coat and things like that. I think you compare them side by side, and I do think with the amount of extra durability you get out of this over something like wet coat, this does become exceptionally cost effective. So in short, I'd recommend. I think it's a really good product. I am a Mild Deep ambassador, but if I didn't actually think these products were good, I wouldn't be an ambassador. I don't get anything. I'm not paid for this. This is completely my own genuine feelings and thoughts. And as I said earlier, I will always test in real world environment. I don't see the point in kind of simulating tests and doing little APC things. It makes good YouTube, I guess, but the reality is that's not reality. So I'd much rather do real world testing. It just means it takes a long time. So I've been talking about this for a long time, finally got around to reviewing it. So yeah, hopefully you found this of use. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So until next time, hopefully back in the garage with the cars, lots of car content to come, lots of more detailing content to come. Take care, stay safe. Bye for now.